It's good, it's beautiful, it is just, it's fair. And the three words that Arnaud Daguin is going to discuss with us. So this triptych, good, beautiful, and fair. Arnaud Daguin fell into the pot of cook when he was young. He was one of the youngest school teacher in France. At 17, he had a kindergarten school. He did the circus school. He's also a wire walker. So I'm giving you three of the many hats of Arnaud, and I invite Arnaud Daguin to come and join us to talk about what's good, beautiful, and fair, or just. Good morning. Thank you. It's always I always feel like I'm an imposter. You know why are you here? Why is they interested? First, congratulations to those organized this Court-bouillon event for the title. I think the title, I don't know if you all know what a Court-bouillon is all about. And a Court-bouillon is, is something that is not long, because often in, we use the, you do long sauce, but the Court-bouillon, in fact, is something you want to do very rapid, and you want to fix on the fish, on the crustaceans, or whatever. This is what happens here, that we extract things which are, and then we will try to fix them in our lives, in our actions, what we want to do later on. So thank you for the title, Court-bouillon. It is quite relevant. Now, in 1968, they said in General Assemblies, where do you speak from? To know who. So do I talk from the cuisine, the kitchen. My parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents were already in cooking, and on both sides, which of course made it, at the age 12, 13, I swore that I would never do this job. It's slavering. You got problem with the employees, you got problem with the clients, suppliers, and so on and so forth. For me, it was the worst possible job where I could see my parents, trying so hard, So it came later on. It came later to be, because I had the feeling at one stage that that was my job, and that was what I wanted to do. But rapidly something drew my attention, as we say, is that what is the meaning of that? Who is it for, to feed people? What's the deep meaning of that when it's not at home, when it's not an obligation, for the Homo sapiens? The problem started because he had something more important to do, he asked others to feed him, basically, and then this kind of a delegation created the beginning of all the problems we face today, and also a great word of jobs, inventions, farming, you name it. So, I needed references as a child to navigate this, to find my way, to know what was my position. Was I made to be a cook, Cooking is a living language. Vocabulary are the products of the producers of the planet, and syntax is the techniques. It's age old. What do you do with the producers? It's not that complicated, and it's not that simple either. You can all speak your own language based on on the vocabulary and syntax. Well, exactly the same thing. You could do. You can read Proust or whatever. But anyway, so the meaning of this odd activity that is to feed people and then to take pleasure from that and possibly make money, because after all, let's face it, we all do something to make money. There is the economy behind. So it took me a while to understand that and to find it. And what did help me for this? Well, the first thing that did help me was the meeting with an old man called Arnaud Daguin. Arnaud Daguin is a cook that most people don't know. But many cooks know him, many chefs know him, because he was really a reference in his days, but he's kind of an intra-corporate. He was the cook of a family, a rich family. So he was the chef to please them, to please this family, and to valorize the best possible producers with very little economic concern, economical concern, actually. So I was working with him one day, and he saw me trying to prepare a plate with a few things. I was young and I was trying to show my work, what I was my skills, what I could do. I was demonstrating things that I was going to do rather than serving, actually putting myself to the service of producers. And he said two things essential for me. He said, first, in our job, he said, in our profession, the maître d' serves the client and the cook serves the producers. And this is something that I never forgot. That is, and I still have that in mind. The second thing he said when he looked at me doing this, dressing the plate, I could do different temperature, different textures and taste and complexify things. And he said, young man, he said to me, a stool is fine with 3 legs. And it took me years to understand maybe it's going to take you a while to understand what it means, but it did, I pondered that for a long time, and it took me years to understand that the triangle necessary for stability is simple and efficient, and maybe you don't need to put 12 legs to a stool, because often he said if you put 12 legs to a stool, you better be good. So I kept that in mind, and today I don't cook every day except for those whom I love, and not for money, but still, I did it for 35 years. I was a chef for 35 years, and the story of the stool, the 3-legged stool, that remained in my mind. Good, beautiful, just, or fair. I mean, these are 3 words that include everything: emotion, aesthetic quality, what's beautiful, a silver chandelier with a linen tablecloth with beautiful cutlery, or with René Zepig, a simple wood or slate or stones. Everything can be beautiful if you know how to place it and create a moment and an emotion. Everything can be good. Everything can be good. Even the Haribo sweets can be good at one stage, or for reasons you don't know in your life. You need something, all of a sudden you want to reassure you, so you'll have a Tagada strawberry, which is nasty, but at that time you will find it good. Well, is it good for us? Is it good for our health? Is it good for in the externalities? I mean, what is good today has to be questioned, has to be analyzed, because we saw it with Hans' presentation and that of Michel's as well. Mankind, when it comes to food, mankind is somewhat disoriented. We're losing our bearings, and what we saw here shows that we're coming back. Now we're going to get back on track. And but then in the last 70 years, and especially in the West, in the civilized West, so-called West, we've lost contact with what we eat. And what I mean is not just to make, to prepare food, but we lost the knowledge of product. What is fresh? What can I eat after the due date or shelf date? When is meat good? I mean, good for the health indeed, but when is it good in taste as well? But but before that, this meat, that meat, is it good for us all collectively? I mean, food, the food in which we are today, in majority, is it good for us all when it comes to common good of mankind? We realized that it's not the case. At the beginning of the century, we would eat about 2 kilos of bread per day, and we had no problem of gluten, gluten intolerance. I mean, not that many. I mean, nobody talked about it at the time, And we would eat bread that came from wheat, the gluten of which was favorable to us. And as My great-grandmother used to say, the bread made the French. I mean, I was very surprised early on to see on the screen that major innovation of our days is to make bread by hand, which is quite fascinating because, we've been doing this for about 5,000 years. And to make beer, to ferment things and to get drinks from it. So why today are we all in this questioning? Well, simply because I think that the machine to produce what we eat, well, we could go back into history, but I said that I wouldn't be too long. Well, the machine to produce what we eat is a mega machine the mega machine as the situationist, well, it's a machine in which we no longer act, only we're passive. At the end of Second World War, we created another production machine because we had to feed everybody. Everybody was starving in Europe, after the war. So the agro-food industry, came with powerful means, and that it did produce this overproduction machine. The problem at the time, we didn't question what we were overproducing, but it was not what, but how much. So we needed that. It was a quantitative, not a qualitative issue. So it was an issue of abundance and then of excess. Excess at the end of the 50s. We were already overproducing meat, butter, milk, eggs, whatever, poultry. So this excess of production, in fact, this mega machine had to sell. Either we stopped the mega machine or opposite this machine, we had to produce overconsumption. You're overproducing, so you have to overconsume to balance the act. And we are elements of the overconsumption machine, overconsuming machine. So many things went in all different directions, but there is one that is fundamental, and I come back to this all the time when we talk about food, is the production of animal protein in our plate. This is something that is insane. Today, we eat protein like never before in past civilization, except maybe Inuits or the Eskimos, who don't have much of a choice, so maybe metabolically are adapted to this. But anyway, the mass of animal food we eat today, animal-based food is huge. And what we don't see that this amount of animal protein we eat is not only bad for us, we see that quite clearly today. We can see the markers today, but it is also a disaster for the environment, for the global environment, for all of us. So this is where I can put the question of the value of our food. What is the value of a product? Is it its value in terms of good, beautiful, just, or in a bit of the three? So what is a good, beautiful tomato? Is it the one that is like all the others and you align them, being regardless the one you pick on the store, it will be the same, and it will be nice, cute, red, or is it a tomato which has had a life? It's got a little bruise, and I think beauty can be there. Beauty can be there. Beauty can be more in the little defect, in the trace of life, than in the plastic perfection. But that's for each and every one to think about it. What is good is the same. What is good today? What is good today is when you taste something, you can find it good for taste. But does your body know if it is good for your health? Well, possibly, but it's not that obvious because we've blocked a lot of things, mentally speaking. So we've done a lot of things. So our proprioception, the way we understand and we approach food, has somewhat shifted away versus things that are less and now we've left room to less instinctive things. And is it good for everybody? When I eat a steak, it's a T-bone steak, when it's good, when the bovine was good, but that production, by the way, at the rhythm we do it, and the way we do it, was it good collectively? And then we come to something else now. Is it fair? Is it just? When we talk about just, we're talking about the justness and and justice. It's fairness and justice. When we say it's when we're very fair, we're just, it's relevant, accurate, But when you say that something is just, it belongs to justice today in our food. Are we just? Well, are we just in the sense of, are we fair? So when you're a cook, when you're a chef, if you start asking yourself these questions, you're still running into a problem. But we know if we don't question this, we all lifelong we will just get our food without really questioning the origin of the products and the way they've been produced and the nutritional content. What it does to us, because let's not forget one thing which is essential, is that what we eat makes us. We are what we eat. And then there is another thing which is quite important, is that what we eat defines our world, and it designs our world, and we don't see this today. If we were to stop ships between Latin America and France, for example, and Europe, let's say Europe, for 2 weeks, do you know what would be the first collateral impact of this? The first collateral impact of such a blockade would be the death, the starvation of 70% of our cattle. We are unable to feed the animals we eat. We need the planet for that. So it's not because we eat animals in general, it's because we eat too many. And not only do we eat too many, but in addition, most are not good. And when I say they're not good, I mean that they're not good. They're good neither for our health, neither for society or the global, because the way we breed them today lead us to endless problems. So it is true that when you're a cook, to do things like that, it's war, it's not good, it's not nice. Maybe you want me to talk about cassoulet, duck, and confit, foie gras, whatever. I can, by the way, we will later on. But still, it's good to clarify things once in a while, on this intimacy with what we eat. What I saw in the presentation. So what we see in this Google company, which is Google, which is the world company par excellence today, per se, which has huge amount of money and which could do better than this. Well, when we see that what we see, that the fact that we feed people, normally, I think nevertheless that we are disconnected from this intimacy with what we feed people and what we eat ourselves. So good, beautiful, fair, or just, well, this is our life. These are words, but life is what I do, how I choose, and mainly how I inform myself as best as possible about all the externalities of what I am doing at the nutritional or food level. It's not easy for an individual, but trust me, for a professional, it's very, very complicated today. So there are things that emerge and which are sources of inspiration everywhere in France today, and we saw a few all over the world. We saw it in Hans' presentation. You have people who resist, people who understood that somehow, not only did we have to control, but we had to understand what is alive, understand vegetation, understand production, to be able to do it in a healthy way, if I, quote, in between quotes, in a good and just and fair manner. Today we face two problems. We don't have 10, 12,000, we got two. One is to feed 10 billion inhabitants soon, and we got another issue, which is to try to reverse the climatic change into our favor. So, well, both are interconnected and governed by the way we feed ourselves. Well, trust me, this is true. It's, I've been working on this for years, climate change and the fact that we feed the global population are exactly the same problem if we look at it closely. Carbon agriculture, that of fertility and not that of fertilization. Agriculture of knowledge of what is alive, of natural life, is the only way to recapture the carbon, that we've burnt, by burning so many fossil energy. And the first positive collateral effect of carbon control to fertility agriculture is that we can feed everybody. But that means that we won't eat exactly the way we've learned to do in the last 50 years now. If there is one message I could convey here is, look today at your food, collectively through this notion of good, beautiful, just. You will see that it's not easy, but this is what you need to do if you want to move up. Thank you.